sick. They were put out in the environment. They were put into people. People passed them around.
What do you mean?
Generation after
Explain this to a
generation.
kindergartner. What do you mean? What do you mean they were put out?
They were put out there. They were spread out there in places for people to pick it up, for people to get these viruses. Epstein-Barr's, all the different varieties, stealth varieties that are really, really aggressive, that cause leukemia, stealth varieties of Epstein-Barr, fibromyalgia, multiple sclerosis, Lyme disease. Epstein-Barr causes all that. They put that stuff out there. They engineered it. They manufactured
Who
it.
is they?
Classified medical research and science. There's classified medical research and science. I hate to be the messenger for this because it blows people's minds and they're just like, what? Classified medical research and science is different than public medical research and science. So your doctors, all the papers and researchers, all that stuff, everybody that has a doctor in front of their name, that's public medical research and science.
Okay.
Not the guys that are off the grid, that are in labs, that are working for some other evil entity. And those guys are classified medical research and science. And they spent 100 years, generations and generations of making sure herpes simplex 1 is what it is, herpes simplex 2 is what it is. Then they blamed it on, Woodstock, free sex, a sexual revolution. They said that's why everybody has these like herpes. No, they engineered this stuff. This stuff's out there. And guess what? People are getting trigeminal neuralgia. Their jaw hurts, their gums hurt, their tongue like burns, their face hurts like hell. They got cranial neuropathy, all these problems from herpes simplex 1, simplex 2, shingles, manufactured stuff.
So now
am I
that
going
we-
too quick
No,
though? Because
no,
I'm
no,
like,
no.
Now that
I gotta
we
slow
know-
down.
We can keep up. We can keep up. Yeah, don't
so
worry.
now that we know
This is the perfect show for you.
It's obviously now been publicized that COVID was likely a part of a lab leak. That's now been publicized.
Yeah,
It's
of
not
course.
It's not a conspiracy
Manufactured.
thing. So is that an example of what you're talking about?
Prime example, but even worse than that, bigger than that, going back into the early 1900s, World War I. They were in the labs and they were growing these viruses and they were raising them, making sure they become not docile anymore, making sure they become dangerous. And the whole plan was to get them out there. So by the 1940s, women just flowed into the doctor's offices with symptoms for the first time, like random weird symptoms, not just heart attacks and stuff like that, not diabetes. So sick of hearing about diabetes. No, there's real chronic illness out there where people are suffering, right? And it's from these pathogens. In 1940s, women just got sick for the first time in our history, like sick, running to doctors, all these symptoms, fatigue, can't function, all kinds of problems with their limbs, like legs feel like sandbags are attached to them, anxiety and panic that's out of control. These are all these viruses that were created in the labs, classified medical research and science, and then it took time for them to spread them, time for it to get out, just like the COVID got out, right? How did it get out the gate? It was manufactured, it was engineered, got out the gate. They did this with all these other viruses before that. That's why the chronic illness movement is what it is right now.
But don't you think there's also an element that they want things like COVID to get out there so they then can create the vaccine to save the people and get money? Like, is the vaccine the whole, is that the ecosystem?
Well, no. That's the vaccine world,
Got it.
right? This is
Different.
just minus the vaccine. You push that whole thing out.
Okay.
I mean, that keeps everybody busy. Just put everybody in health, vaccine. Like push that out, right? No, this has been happening long before.
So do they want clients? What's the goal of what they want?
Well, here's what they want, okay? Originally they wanted people getting sick.
Okay.
So they can feed the industry. That's all they want. And then they wanted depopulation without it looking so fast, so quick, slow depopulation. People being chronically sick, bleed them to death with the blood work. Just, try to get the numbers up, the death numbers up. That's what the goal was for it all. And then anything in between to happen.
So when you looked at COVID and all that happened, did you hear anything? Did you see anything? Was there like a clairvoyant situation?
I was getting people ready for it before it was out.
What did you say?
I was telling people that they're going to have this syndrome from after flus, after COVID. They're going to have this syndrome of all these respiratory viruses and stuff like flu, where it's going to trigger their immune systems trigger them into cytokine storms, and then weaken them so that all the Epstein-Barrs start rising, all the shingles viruses start rising, so that they're going to be just bedridden. And that's what happened. There's people walking around with all kinds of symptoms, and they're getting different diagnoses now, like MS and fibro and ALS. And that's all the pathogens that are rising up in their bodies because of like flus and COVID and the next one, and now the bird flu that's going to turn into something. Like all of this is there just to beat people down, so everything else they did in the last 100 years rises up. See, they did the work for the last 100 years. They put out all the bugs. Everybody has them in them. They have the shingles and the cytomegalovirus. They got these in them. They got the, the simplex 1, simplex 2, 30 different varieties of shingles, Epstein-Barrs, HHV6, HHV7, HHV 10 through 16. Everybody has it. So now they put out the flus. They put out the COVID, RSV, so that people just get knocked down. And then they have a lifetime of chronic illness and symptoms.
Which feeds the industry.
So let's
wait, really quick. Michael and I just had the worst flu we've ever had in our entire lives. Like truly, it was the worst flu. Why did that just, no. This was like, don't worry. This was a month ago. We're good now. Don't worry. Worst flu ever. I'm good now. I feel great. A month ago. But he's freaking out. Don't worry.
No,
I'm good now.
No, I get it. I'm just kidding.
But my question is the reason the flu was really, really gnarly because COVID happened? Does that make sense? Like our immune system was weaker?
Well, no, they put that flu out.
The one we just got.
They just released that.
The
that was
Nora,
released.
whatever. The fuck
that flu was released.
Got it.
That's here to beat people down. And they released that flu at the same time they released a bird flu.
Right.
Purposely.
Yeah. They said my raw milk was impacted and I still drank it.
Okay, well, exactly. So it's the bird flu and making me laugh. The bird flu and the regular flu, right? The human flu. They put those two out in hopes that they enter somebody's body at the same time, and then they sequence and turn into a deadlier flu. It's a game right now of bad flus, bird flu, regular flu, get people sick as possible, maybe throw COVID out there too, you name it. They want people to make badder, bigger, uglier flus. That's what they want. And it can happen when these flus are in the body together sparring. When they're in the body, so bird flu is sparring with the human flu and they're sparring. And then they say, we don't want to die because they don't want to kill each other. They try it first and then they back off. This is what happens. And then they say, let's sequence. Let's make a deadlier bug. And they join forces.
So
and that's what classified medical research and science is waiting for right now.
Okay, so
maybe it won't happen. Maybe God will intervene.
So we have satisfactorily scared the shit out of everyone listening. At this, now that let's follow this thread. How do you then, knowing what you know and working with who you work, how do you live your life so that you can combat all of these things that are out there that we have to contend with?
It's hard, it's like medical meme information's been censored before anybody was censored. We still get censored like nobody's business, even though our podcast cranks and we got, we reach, we reach 40 million people, whatever, in a few weeks. We're still censored pretty hard because Info broke all this stuff out really early.
I haven't seen your content in a while.
Oh, yeah.
That's interesting that you said
good
that.
Luck.
Whoa, I just realized. I'm like, where's your content been?
What is it?
Good luck, because honestly, it's a spiritual war. And basically, an angel has to go and then try to push it out your way once in a while because it's like that's how it works.
Medical medium in my phone. Wait, so you are getting censored by social media?
For real, though. I'm censored on X.
Wow.
X. Elon, not Elon probably personally, but I was censored on Twitter, and then when Twitter turned into X, nothing was fixed on my end, and it's not like I can call Elon up and be like, Elon, I know you're busy right now, but can you fix my...
We could probably point you in the right direction for some context if you need them.
To Elon?
Not to Elon directly, but we could probably help out with that.
I would love to get X working, It's
Michael,
like...
help him get... Michael knows people
that
at X. Help him
platform is now, I think, the most open, and I think they've led the way in opening more platforms because people are seeing the attention that they're getting.
So
Well,
how do you
remember,
how do you live your
like chemtrails. I got 40 years of putting that information out there, and the real chemtrail info, not even the geoengineering stuff that people think is happening right now. The real chemtrail stuff I put out there. That's why I'm censored and been censored, because I did it earlier. I did it first, and it's sad, really. But we're still. But you know what? We got the light on our side, and we're pushing through, and people do see us in